Hi, I'm Shannon from houseimprovements.com, and in today's short video I just want to show you how to install or replace a piece of flashing that goes around a vent pipe coming through your roof. So we're actually in a new roofing situation here, but a lot of this would pertain to even if you had to replace an existing piece of flashing that maybe developed a leak or got damaged or whatever. So we've kind of roofed around this area, so I've got to kind of piece it back in here during the video, but it's all basically be the same process no matter what you're doing. So we've got our, in this case, 2-inch PVC sticking through the roof, and you would typically have your row of shingles running through and a bit of a notch out of the one row. Now, to determine where to kind of start to put this on, what you want to have is, once this slides on, what you want when you're finished is to basically have the bottom portion of this exposed and the rows of shingles above that lapping onto it. So obviously we had to have this row on because otherwise it would have been totally covered up, so that our next row leaves some exposed. And that's just to shed the water properly so it eventually gets out and on top of the shingles again. Okay, so we've ran our one row through. We just notched the upper area around the pipe roughly so that we can install this flashing. Now the flashings, there's different ones you can have. There's this one's kind of a plastic rubber hybrid. There's some that are all rubber. There's some that are aluminum with a rubber seal, but you know, so basically they're all very similar as far as how you install them. Okay, so to begin with, we're just going to slide that up out of the way. And on this row of shingles that have ran through, we want to put a bead of tar that's going to run along the bottom edge of your flashing and in about an inch from the edge so it doesn't ooze out when you seal it down. So we're just going to take some tar or roofing cement. So I just kind of leave that on there so I have a bit of an idea, you know, where my outer boundaries are of it. And we're just going to put a fairly generous bead down here and across and back up again on the other side. Okay, just like so. And then we can slide this down, make sure it gets under any other courses of higher shingles. Get it in place. Now usually you're gonna have a little bit of movement in that pipe, so just kind of get it where it naturally wants to sit. And I just like to measure it down on the course of shingles so everything looks kind of straight and square. And use a few 1.5-inch roofing nails to secure it in place. I've got an air nailer, but for these flashings and vents I like to hand nail it so you don't end up breaking the plastic or the rubber or whatever you're using. Okay, so these nails on the very bottom are going to be exposed, and once I'm done the entire roof, I'd go back to any of these and just put a dab of roof cement over any exposed nails, about the size of a quarter or so. Just kind of flatten them out a little bit nice so they look a little bit nicer, and that'll seal that up. The reason I do it after I'm basically done the whole roof is so if you're moving things around or pulling hoses or anything, none of them are going to smear through it and have tar on everything. Okay, so just get it nailed down in place. These ones will be up underneath the other courses of shingles. So there we've got our stack base, or our flashing sealed into place. And just press it down into the tar that we had there. Now I've already pre-cut the next row, which is going to come along in our case and just stop against it. So I've pre-cut them. I like to lap onto your flashing at least a couple inches, but not right tight up against any protrusions that come up. So this still gives a decent amount of room for ice and water to drain away without forcing it back up underneath the shingle. Okay, so I've pre-cut those. What I am going to do though is I'm still going to run a bead of tar along here as well, but not quite far enough down where it would ooze out underneath this shingle that we have cut. So I'll come from onto that shingle, kind of sloping downward, so if any moisture gets in there it can easily drain. And up like that, where it's going to be underneath the next course. I can lift this shingle up, slide this guy into place, Make sure my joint over here is good. And I can either hand nail or power nail that. Okay, so we've got that in there. I've got the same thing over on this side. Get my tar in place. Get my shingle set down into it, lined up where I want it. Okay, and those two are on there. Now our next row, which is here and here, is going to come right across, and you can see in our case, you know, I've got to still cut around this. This here still is going to be in the finished part of the shingle, so I'm going to grab a shingle here so we can kind of mark it out. And it helps if your shingles have sat in the sun a little bit before cutting them. It just softens them up, makes them a little bit easier to work with. I'm just going to kind of slip this guy roughly underneath here so we can kind of tell where we need to be. Now if you're working on an existing shingled roof, the shingles around here are going to be stuck down, sealed down, so you're going to have to maybe take a flat bar or red bar or something and just pry them up a little bit so you can have a little bit of leeway here to work with them. So you can see I've got it sitting here, but it's not right down where it should be. It should be flush to the bottom of this. So we need to get a little bit of a notch in here so that it'll slide down to where it needs to be. So I'll just make just a mark over here a little bit, about an inch off of this, or half an inch off of the widest part here where it's going to be down to on both sides. And if I measure from where the shingle's sitting now down to where it should be, I've got 2 inches. Plus I want to give a little bit extra above it, so I'm going to go about 3 inches. So I can pull this shingle out of here, bring it over to my cutting board. And now I've got it turned upside down, but I can see where my 2 little marks were to notch it. And I said I wanted to come up 3 inches to give myself a little bit of room. Now you could do whatever. I'm just going to freehand this. Really nobody's going to see it unless they're on your roof. But you can trace it out or use a compass or whatever you want to do, but I'm just going to freehand it like so. Cut through both layers of the shingle, and then we'll give it a fit and try and just see how that looks. Slide it all up underneath there again. Okay, so I'm a little bit wonky there. I can trim that up. Just be careful not to cut your own flashing that you're just installing. Just trying to even it up to make it look a little more pretty. A little touch up here. Okay, that should be pretty good. So now before I get it in place again, I want to run some more tar. I'm basically going to run a bead of tar along here and up onto the flashing and back down the other side again. This just prevents any ice damming or water running back up underneath there. Now this is a little trickier to not get tar all over yourself as I'm sliding this one into position. Just kind of take your time and work around that. Trying not to get it in the tar before it's in the position you want it. Okay, so we can kind of bring it down. Press it down into the tar there that we just put in place. Just making sure because I shingled up and around this, but I had to leave some nails out. You can see these shingles have already stuck down to each other a little bit. Just making sure I'm getting all the nails in. Okay, so we've basically worked our way away from the vent. I've got just one more standard shingle with no cuts in it to go there, and that would kind of finish this off. So you don't need to see that part. It doesn't have anything to really do with the vent, but basically you just fill back in around any shingles that you've taken out or worked around. Now normally if you're doing a new roofing job, you would just do this vent as you got to it. I just worked around it because I was doing some of this roof off camera, so we could come back to this today. So I think that pretty much does everything you do, or covers everything you need to know. Just make sure you're doing the tar in there to keep any moisture or ice from getting back up underneath there and making a good seal. Okay, so hopefully that gave you a little more detail. This goes along with all our other roofing videos that we have. We just wanted to go into a little more detail on a plumbing vent here so you can see. But you can check all our shingling related videos and any of our other videos out on our YouTube channel. You can follow along with us on Facebook and Twitter. Check out our Patreon campaign, any of that fun stuff. If you have any questions about this or anything else on a project you're doing, or maybe you just want to let us know how your project worked out, just go to the forum and post up a post in the appropriate column, and I'll be sure to see it and answer it or reply to it. So thanks a lot for watching.